A very interesting passage in the Bible in the book of Acts chapter 10. A man named Peter was in the rooftop at that time when he fell into a trance or to a sleep. And then he saw in his dream that there was a cloth full of beast, a four-footed beast, and God commanded Peter to take up and kill and eat. But the response of Peter said, "No, for I have not eaten the unclean thing." But what does that mean? We'll find out today. But before we go in there, let's hear these beautiful voices and then we'll dive into the topic. We'll be right back.
Tuku hausia ae mo'ui I he mamani Kumiki hata ha'ofa ke tokoni Ongo mai I hele o mai mai Ene kala ofa Deu ia te kimotolu o ta engata E ika I tene hanga oli akia Tala o fai kia te koe moa Holo holo I hokulo I mata Ngalohi fo ai e kuanga hala E ika I tene hanga oli akia Ka o ka ke filina Ho ka umea O whakamo'u o kune hapai mai Ha'ule wakia tea Tene fua ho o ka venga Falala kia tea Tene taki koe ho alunga E ika I tene hanga oli akia Tala o fai kia te koe moa Holo holo I hokulo I mata Ngalohi fo ai e kuanga hala E ika I tene hanga oli akia E ika I tene hanga oli akia
Now Acts chapter 10 verses 11 to 14. Acts chapter 10 verses 11 to 14, and it says here, "And saw heaven opened, and a certain vessel descending unto him, and as it had been a great sheet knit at the four corners, and let down to the earth, wherein all manners of four-footed beasts of the earth, and wild beasts, and creeping things, and fowls of the air. And there came a voice to him, Rise, Peter, kill, and eat. But Peter said, Not so, Lord, for I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean." Now the thing here in verse 15, it says, "And the voice spake unto him again, and the second time, What God hath cleansed, that call not thou common." Now, here, what does the Bible suggest? Does the Bible suggest that it's okay now to eat everything to eat, even including those that he describes are unclean in Leviticus chapter 11. Now, does that suggest that it's okay to eat that? Now, don't be misled or don't misunderstand the passage, because the passage has nothing to do with eating. It does not suggest to eat the unclean meat. Now, what does it mean? If God does not mean to eat anything that are unclean, then what does it mean? Now, in Acts verse 19 to 20, it says, while Peter thought of a vision, the Spirit unto him, behold, 3 men seek thee. So the Spirit said unto Peter, it says, there were 3 men who were looking for you. And remember, Peter at this time is at the rooftop of the house. And there were 3 men who was knocking at the door and seeking and looking for Peter. In verse 20, it says, arise therefore and get thee down and go with them, doubting nothing, for I have sent them. Now, this is the Spirit talking to Peter. And the Spirit told Peter, go down there and go with them. Now, at this point in time, Peter doesn't know who these people are. He has no idea who is looking for him. But then he realized who the people are. And then so Peter walked down and he went with these 3 people that were looking for him. Now, the thing is, in verse 27 and verse 28, Peter fully understood what the meaning of that vision that God has given him, because he said this in verse 27, and it says, as he talked with him, he went in and found many that were come together. So on the way there, Cornelius met him in the road. And then Peter told him and was talking to him. And so Cornelius invited him in the house. And Peter said, and he talked with him, and he went in and found many that were come together. And he said unto them, ye know how that it is unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company, or come unto one of another nation. But God hath showed me that I should not call any man common or unclean. Now, where in the chapter that Peter was shown something that he called unclean? It is during that time when he was still at the rooftop, in a trance, in a dream. Remember that he called the 4-footed beast unclean and common. But then he realized what God has sent him to to Cornelius for. He said here that it is unlawful. He knows that there are racial discrimination against the Gentiles. And Peter understood that it's unlawful. They don't mingle together. Now here it says here that to come unto one of another nation, but God hath showed me that I should not call any man common or unclean. Friends, racism or racial discrimination did not start in the 1700s or in the 1600s or in the 1500s. It goes way back to the time of the Jews and the Gentiles. You know, they look at the Gentiles as if, like, when the Jew is eating a food and the Gentile's shadow fall on that food, they will throw that food away because they think that even the shadow is dirty. And so that's why Peter said, God told me, God had showed me that I should not call another man unclean. So here, the deep root of racism way back. But the good news here is that we should not care what other people look at us. It's not about black and white. It's not about brown and yellow. It's not about the red and the whatever color. It doesn't matter because God has already cleansed you. And the good news is that people will discriminate you, racial discrimination, gender discrimination, whatever discrimination there is. You know, because right now, in our whole entire world, discrimination is a common issue. But in God's eyes, you are cleansed. God had given His begotten Son that He can cleanse every single person. He may be black or white, green or yellow, orange or red, blue or brown. It doesn't matter. God had cleansed you. And the thing is, not only that He cleansed you or He cleaned you, but He can save you. So friends, look at the perspective of God. God have already cleansed you. How do you react to people when they say, he is unclean? I pray and I hope that this passage not only talk about people who are discriminated or rejected by the community, because God does not reject His people. So I hope and pray that whatever you're going through today, remember that God does not discriminate you nor reject you. Blessings. I'll see you soon.